Amy Elliott Dunn, the night of the return. I still have Desi's semen inside me from the last time he raped me, so the medical examination goes fine. My rope-wreathed wrists, my damaged vagina, my bruises, the body I present them as textbook. An older male doctor with humid breath and thick fingers performs the pelvic exam, scraping and wheezing in time, while Detective Rhonda Boney holds my hand. It is like being clutched by a cold bird claw, not comforting at all. Once she breaks into a grin when she thinks I'm not looking. She is absolutely thrilled that Nick isn't a bad guy after all. Yes, the women of America are collectively sighing. Police have been dispatched to Desi's home, where they'll find him naked and drained. A stunned look on his face, a few strands of my hair in his clutches, the bed soaked in blood. The knife I used on him, and on my bonds, will be nearby on the floor where I dropped it, dazed, and walked barefoot carrying nothing out of the house but his keys, to the car, to the gate, and climbed, still slick with his blood, into his vintage Jaguar, and returned like some long-lost faithful pet straight back home to my husband. I had been reduced to an animal state. I didn't think of anything but getting back to Nick. The old doctor tells me the good news. No permanent damage and no need for D&C. I miscarried too early. Boney keeps clutching my hand and murmuring, "My God, what you've been through. Do you think you feel up to answering a few questions?" That fast. From condolences to brass tacks. I find ugly women are usually overly differential or incredibly rude. You are amazing Amy, and you've survived a brutal kidnapping involving repeated assaults. You've killed your captor, and you've made it back to your husband. And you've made it back to your husband you've discovered was cheating. You, A, put yourself first and demand some time alone to collect yourself. B, hold it together just a little longer so you can help the police. C, decide which interview to give first. You might as well get something out of the ordeal, like a book deal. Answer, B. Amazing Amy always puts others first. I'm allowed to clean myself up in a private room in the hospital, and I changed into a set of clothes Nick put together for me from the house. Jeans with creases from being folded too long, a pretty blouse that smells of dust. Boney and I drive from the hospital to the police station in near silence. I ask weakly after my parents. "They're waiting for you at the station," Boney says. "They've wept when I told them, with joy, absolute joy and relief. We'll let them get some good hugs in with you before we do our questions, don't worry." The cameras are already at the station. The parking lot has that hopeful, overlit look of a sports stadium. There is no underground parking, so we have to pull right up front as the madding crowd closes in. I see wet lips and spittle as everyone screams questions, the pops of flash bulbs and camera lights. The crowd pushes and pulls en masse, jerking a few inches to the right, then the left as everyone tries to reach me. "I can't do this," I say to Boney. A man's meaty palm smacks against the car window as a photographer tries to keep his balance. I grab her cold hand. "It's too much." She pats me and says, "Wait." The station doors open, and every officer in the building flies down the stairs and forms a line on either side of me, holding the press back, creating an honor guard for me. And Rhonda and I run in holding hands like reverse newlyweds, rushing straight up to my parents who are waiting just inside the doorway, and everyone gets the photos of us clutching each other with my mom whispering, "Sweet girl, sweet girl, sweet girl," and my dad sobbing so loudly he almost chokes. There is more whisking away of me, as if I hadn't been whisked away quite enough already. I am deposited in a closet of a room with comfortable but cheap office chairs, the kind that always seem to have bits of old food woven into the fabric, a camera blinking up in the corner, and no windows. It is not what I pictured. It is not designed to make me feel safe. I am surrounded by Boney, her partner, Gillian, and 2 FBI agents from St. Louis who remain nearly silent. They give me water, and then Boney starts. "Okay, Amy. First, we have to thank you sincerely for talking with us after what you've been through. In a case like this, it's very important to get everything down while the memory is fresh. You can't imagine how important that is. So it's good to talk now. If we can get all these details down, we can close the case, and you and Nick can go back to your lives." "I'd definitely like that." "You deserve that. So if you're ready to begin, can we start with the timeline? What time did Desi arrive at your door? Do you remember?" "About 10 a.m., a little after, because I remember hearing the Teverers talking as they walked to their car for church." "What happened when you opened the door?" "Something felt wrong immediately. First of all, Desi has written me letters all my life, but his obsession seemed to have become less intense over the years. He seemed to think of himself as just an old friend, and since the police couldn't do anything about it, I made my peace with that. I never felt like he meant me active harm, although I really didn't like being this close to him, geographically. I think that's what put him over the edge, knowing I was so close. He walked into my house with... He was sweaty and sort of nervous, but also determined looking. I'd been upstairs. I'd been about to iron my dress when I noticed the big wooden handle of the Judy puppet on the floor. I guess it had fallen off. Bummer, because I'd already hidden the puppets in the woodshed. So I grabbed the handle, and I had that in my hands when I opened the door. Very good memory. Thank you. What happened next? Desi barged in, and he was pacing around the living room, all flustered and kind of frantic, and he said, "What are you doing for your anniversary?" It frightened me that he knew today was our anniversary, and he seemed angry about it. And then his arm flashed out, and he had me by the wrist and was twisting it behind my back as we struggled. I put up a real fight. What next? I kicked him and got away for a second and ran to the kitchen, and we struggled more, and he clubbed me once with a big wooden Judy handle, and I went flying, and then he hit me 2 or 3 more times. I remember not being able to see for a second, just dizzy. My head was throbbing, and I tried to grab for the handle, and he stabbed my arm with his pocket knife he was carrying. I still have the scar, see? Yes, that was noted in our medical examination. You were lucky it was only a flesh wound. It doesn't feel like a flesh wound, believe me. So he stabbed you. The angle is... I'm not sure if he did it on purpose or if I thrust myself onto the blade accidentally. I was so off balance. I remember the club falling to the floor, though, and I looked down and saw my blood from the stab wound pooling over the club. I think I passed out then. Where were you when you woke up? I woke up hog-tied in my living room. Did you scream? Try to get the neighbors' attention? Of course I screamed. I mean, did you hear me? I was beaten, stabbed, and hog-tied by a man who had been obsessed with me for decades, who once tried to kill himself in my dorm bedroom. Okay, Amy, I'm sorry. That question was not intended in the least to sound like we were blaming you. We just need to get a full picture here so we can close the investigation and you can get on with your life. Do you want another water or coffee or something? Something warm would be nice. I'm so cold. No problem. Can you get her a coffee? So what happened then? I think his original plan was to subdue me and kidnap me, and then it looked like a runaway wife thing because when I wake up, he's just finished mopping the blood in the kitchen, and he straightened the table of little antique ornaments that fell over when I ran into the kitchen. He's gotten rid of the club, but he's running out of time, and I think what must have happened is he sees this disheveled living room, and so he thinks, leave it. Let it look like something bad happened here. So he throws the front door open, and then he knocks a few more things over in the living room, overturns the ottoman. So that's why the scene looks so weird. It was half true, half false.